so that way the cucumbers soak up. Yeah, and it's absorbing. So when you bite it.
Can everyone hear me? Looks like we've got 13 people online. And get 13 affirmatives in a row. Leave that the speaker is on because it looks like my sound counter is showing that the microphone is picking up sound. Can we get a confirmation? Can you guys hear me? Nobody says anything. I'm going to assume that you guys can hear me and I'll continue. Okay, sounds good. Thank you to Flashword RC for confirming. All right, so first things first, thank you to everyone who is online, and thank you to every single person from every corner of the globe that joins us in this live stream. I know that these times are not the most ideal for everyone. Unfortunately, we cannot clone ourselves and then fly ourselves to different time zones, and some of us have to get off work sometimes. So this hopefully is another time in which the people who could not make it earlier this week could make it. So thank you to everyone who is here. Also, as a reminder, we will not be discussing any new products unless authorized to do so. And we will not be discussing release of new firmware because just of the nature of how firmware is made and tested. We don't want the engineers or the testers to have to rush. That is no good for the company or for clients. As we all know, bad firmware can really cause a lot of issues. So yeah, without further ado, I'd also like to remind everyone to please allow to not worry about whether or not I will get to your question. I will get to most questions as much as I can. I will start from the beginning of the chat and go down. So please do not spam your question, or else it will not be easy for me to get to other people's questions, and that's not good for anybody because every question we feel is important. So please be patient as I go from top to bottom, and let's get started. Are we able to ask questions now? Yes. Yes, we are able to ask questions now. Hi, I would like to ask if Hubsan make a high-end model like the Mavic Spark Air or the new Anafi or the VFM Xiaomi 4K. I'm not allowed to release that information right now. You can keep on asking with every subsequent live stream we have, but as of right now, I have not been given the okay to release any information on that matter. We can hear, not see. Hopefully you guys can see me now. All right. News about the 123D. Not yet, but then they're stepping, no technical updates on the entire thing, but it looks like we're stepping up our marketing on the particular aircraft. So that means the release date should be coming up again, as I've told a lot of people on live streams, and also as our representatives have spread across our channels. We don't have an official release date yet. If you meet anyone who tries to tell you otherwise, especially if they're not from Hubsan officially, it's really good to take that information with a grain of salt, perhaps two, and then wash it down with a mug of water afterwards, like I'm doing. Okay. I've noticed the X4 Air Pro is very sensitive to interference. Where do you suggest to fly this drone? Good question. Especially when it's operating off Wi-Fi, which is a real pain for, it's not even, it's the nature of Wi-Fi because there's so many different Wi-Fi connections around the globe, and you're gonna get frequencies running into each other. So yes, there's a lot of interference. Therefore, my advice is to fly in a place with not as much Wi-Fi. So say if you're flying a neighborhood one day, neighborhood, lots of houses, lots of Wi-Fi. So maybe go to local park where there aren't so many houses. I know that we like to fly in this area. It's like the hills. And even though there are houses around, the hills big enough. The hills are big enough that we can go in and fly beyond the stretch of Wi-Fi frequencies. So yeah. All right. Brushless Racer. Brushless Racer. H123D. Look that one up. We have an official video on it. Do Hubsan products have a manufacturer's warranty? Yes, they do. So manufacturer's warranty is 1 year from date of purchase. Has to be purchased new and sealed from a verifiable vendor. And also, the warranty only covers part defect. No operation, no modification, nah. And as you know, most quad or drone manufacturers exclude certain parts of their aircraft from the warranty. For us, we don't exclude anything that is on the actual quad itself. We, however, do not cover batteries under warranty, and I believe propellers and consumables, basically things you would have to replace on the aircraft. And I think the reason for that is quite obvious. And honestly, any sort of problems that you see on a propeller are pretty much 99.9% of the time due to shipping. Because those things, if you saw what they have to go through in QC just to get out of the factory, you'd know why we would take any sort of claim of defect on something like a propeller with a lot of skepticism. Each part goes through 4 to 5 people in an assembly line in QC, and then is overlooked by a line supervisor. That's a lot. If maybe there are only 1 or 2 people checking the entire process, understandably there would be mistakes. But 4 to 5 people and a line supervisor is nothing to sneeze at. So that's the detailed spiel on warranty. Next question. Thank you for your answers by mail. No problem. It says live, but nothing is showing. That's strange. Everything's showing perfectly fine on our end. Might be the connection over at your end. The Wi-Fi speed takes up a lot of juice. How close are we to the H123D? That's one thing. Mass production-wise, honestly, that's a question for service@hubsan.com, because I don't actually work in close proximity with R&D and or with QC. I'm all the way in America. They're all the way in China. And also, not to mention, I probably would not be allowed to release that information anyway. All right, next question. Hold on. I noticed Hubsan doesn't really get into obstacle or optical avoidance. Can we look forward to maybe you mean sensory obstacle avoidance? That's a good question. Keep in touch with us about that. Not really allowed to say anything on that yet. Next question. On the H501S, is it possible to have the recording video to stop recording when the motors are disarmed to avoid forgetting to stop video before disconnecting the battery? I have no doubt that it is possible, but keep in mind with every change in firmware requires tons of testing. And also, there are unintended consequences of some changes, no matter how simple they are. So while that's not a bad suggestion, I'm not sure if it would be, if on the software side it's all that much feasible or practical. My 2 cents on it. I can suggest it, and I will suggest it. I mean, I'll copy and paste it onto my suggestions list right now. But again, with any sort of firmware change, I always like to tack that on. It's much easier said than done. All right. Now that that's down on my list, next question. you know, Wi-Fi flight is no bueno. I mean, out of all the frequencies you could choose to fly an aircraft with, if you're going to be choosing Wi-Fi, you got to think about how many other frequencies you're ramming your aircraft frequency into. It's like saying that you're driving to work, you know, and you're complaining about the traffic when clearly you live in LA and there's a lot of cars and you're driving a car yourself. So that's what happens. It is a trend in the aircraft industry right now, though. So I don't know how it caught on. All I know is that people are making aircraft with Wi-Fi frequencies, and people like the novelty of being able to whip out their phones and fly. That's all I can say about that. Anyway, might be possible in the future. Hubsan firmware would be open source. I think that would upgrade the Hubsan. Here's the reason almost no manufacturer will do that. Number one, would you rather have that and have the warranty completely voided, by the way, on all aircraft? Or would you rather have a non-open source firmware and have the warranty? Because if firmware is modified, how many things can go wrong even just with experienced software engineers and lots of people testing? Imagine one person trying to, you know, just change one little thing and unintentionally doing something wrong, or that one little thing causes one other little thing to happen and things happen, you know? It's not, it makes for very muddy waters when it comes to us trying to help people out under a specific warranty. So unless you wanted no warranty at all on any of our aircraft that have open source firmware, not happening. Hello, can the H109S be controlled through the X Hubsan app? And is there any way to do so? No, because the H109S is not an aircraft equipped with a Wi-Fi module. Any aircraft without a Wi-Fi module or any hardware pertaining to being able to establish a Wi-Fi signal for connection will not be usable via an application on a mobile device. There is no way to do so unless you are a super talented electrical and computer engineer or software engineer who can write up the code for it and also select the appropriate hardware. Long, messy process with no guarantee of success, by the way, even for the experienced folks. Anyway, next question. Can we buy the H123D now? Nope, not yet. Sorry to say, soon. I know that they would not be releasing so much media on it, so much, if it weren't for the fact that it's going to be out soon. Okay. Well, I know the answer to this. Please reiterate that there's no need to oil the motors on the H501S series. This question comes up weekly in our Facebook group and often leads to arguments. Yes, we have seen that. There's absolutely no need to oil the motors. Please don't do that. I mean, we just had a client who tried to mail in an aircraft for a repair, and he oiled his motors so copiously that the technician said that he soaked them in oil, and therefore just it's partially what contributed to his motors not working properly. Just if you're gonna go to that extent, man, you're attracting a lot of stuff you don't want in the motors, and not to mention with the motors running on such high velocity, if any sort of spark happens between the debris, and just nah, you don't want that. Let's not go there. No oiling the motors, guys. Just as a general rule of thumb, please don't oil the motors. You really don't need to. Not even if they sound like they're rattling, okay? Just that little bit of deviation will not cause any problems. You might cause more problems oiling the motors than if you were to leave them as is. Okay, next question. My drone set down after 6 minutes of flight. We managed to find it, recover the full video. Motors ran for 20 minutes, then stopped, lights flashing. It was beeping, scared to fly now. What type of beeping? Was it dee dee from the drone, or was it a dee from the transmitter? Two very different, very different scenarios. If the dee, reflash the FC firmware with the appropriate version. If it's a dee, either loss of satellite signal or low battery on the aircraft or transmitter, actually transmitter. Will you have a support center in the EU? We already do. It's already in partial operation. As I said in the last broadcast on Tuesday, there's going to be a Netherlands office in Rotterdam in full operation within the next couple of months, we hope. As always, I don't know the full news on that because I'm not over there. You know, I wish I had, you know, an eye that would fly over there and check on the Netherlands office, as creepy as that sounds. Actually, no, I don't wish that. But you get my gander. Like, it is in partial operation. It's partially staffed. They're not finished staffing. So there will be, promise you there will be. We wouldn't spend this much time, energy, and money on establishing one if there will not be. But they're still starting up. If you want more information on that, please email us at service@hubsan.com. Okay, next question. Annie, you helped me redo firmware, fix a couple of my drones. Not sure you remember me. Want to say thanks for your professional customer service. You're welcome. It's our job, and also we always like helping people. And I'd also like to give kudos to the entire staff here at Hubsan North America, with the manager and my fellow support colleagues, Elsa, Vivian, and Shally. Of course, Elsa and Shally are in China, and also the technician crew, and you got to thank them as well. I can kind of fix aircraft physically, but I'm not as precise or as quick as our technician. So while I'm really good at piecing out the problems, he's the one that does all of the work. So much thanks to him as well. He also enjoys it, so that's a plus. All right. I tried to get her to admit to optical avoidance. She didn't bite. She's smart, this one. When your job's on the line, you'd get smart about it too. Okay. Will you send me the old Hubsan shower curtain? If you want to use it as a shower. I don't know, man. John Smith, you missed my question. Hold on. Let me go and see if I can find it, because there's a lot of them. Anyway, to have current date and time on SD card for pictures and videos. I've already submitted that as a suggestion more times than I can count, and I'm not sure where R&D is on that right now. So I think their solution for it to right now is honestly a lot of people are flying our Wi-Fi aircraft like the H501A, so they're allowing that need to be covered by the application. But as for 2.4 based quadcopters, I am not sure. They have not mentioned it to me. I can again submit that to them, but let me see. I'll copy and paste it down again. Okay. Copy and pasted. Next question. I have to get back to where I was. You know where I can find a Hubsan strap for my controller? I tried to get one from Hubsan US, and they didn't have any. I have the advanced H501S. So if I am not mistaken, that strap only comes with the H109S Professional Edition. They might sell it separately. I'm not sure because I'm not in sales, but if you want to give her a shot, give us an email at sarah@hubsan.com. We'll redirect you to those representatives. Alrighty. Okay, DZ. That's a very funny question. Not an official tech support question I'm going to answer. Good one, though. Let me see. When will you make an SS that will be capable of waypoints? The SS is already capable of waypoints. You just need to use the H7000 transmitter. Is there anything different to get it to work? I only have the Hubsan logo and waiting for Hubsan official. We're live. I think there's something wrong with the connection on your end, Clive. I mean, everybody else can see and hear me, so I don't know what to do. Stop lubing your motors. Yes, stop lubing your motors. You will void the warranty on your aircraft if you do that. And you send it in and you try to say that your motors are not working properly, you will void the warranty on that particular repair. Is there any way to change the camera settings on the H109S? I don't think so. No, not without altering hardware and firmware. You also should sell stickers. That's not a bad idea. Let me copy and paste that down. And decals. I've seen that a lot. Decals and stickers and customization and aesthetic customization kits. It's not a bad idea. And decals, etc. Okay. I've seen one of the texts when they gave me back my drone, he was on the SD card. Maybe. I don't remember. Okay, you skipped my question. Paulino Bana. I do not know where it is. Hold on. Why stop the Hubsan X4 Pro 109S production? Why not send to Brazil? Okay, so answer the first question. Production is not stopped. It's just slowed down, as I said in the last live stream. I really should tell every one of you guys to watch the live stream recording from our last live streams, just so that we can, move on to other questions. But it has not been stopped. It's just slowed down because it's nowhere as popular as our other aircraft. Number 2, why not send to Brazil? I would peruse your country's export restrictions. It's kind of like how Argentina doesn't allow Apple products to be shipped in. If I'm not mistaken, what little I've heard about this from our Chinese office is that there are restrictions in Brazil that do not allow us to import our products or export our products in. This has something to do with an agency called Anatel. I'm not familiar with the situation, but as much as we want to, I mean, it wouldn't be bad for business, as you know what I mean. But it's kind of hard to do when countries like, we don't like part of what you're making, so you might want to ask. You might want to ask the part of the government that made those regulations, or even just the agency, why they're restricting. It's a restriction that I think is out of our control, from what I've heard. I'm not sure what you mean by all batteries were good. Can you confirm again what I need to flash? I'm not sure what you mean by that. Let me go to the other oh my god, jumping around.
belong to me, right?
Is there a place to get a refurbished H501S? Yes, although they are of limited stock. Please go to www.hubsan.com and there's a section called refurbished. Make sure it's hubsan.com, not hubsanus.com. Again, hubsanus.com is Textra Brands. They're a third-party retailer. You need to go to our direct site in order to be able to purchase refurbished. So www.hubsan.com. And even then, I believe there's only one stock available, and that's mostly for the North Americas. So hopefully you're in North America. I think Chinese warehouse is out, which is why the EU won't be able to receive them. Okay. Is there a larger battery for the H501A? Nope. And I will reiterate, as I said on the last live stream on Tuesday, bigger battery kind of for the most part axes the advantages of having more capacity, because the more weight you have on your aircraft, the more load you're putting on the battery and the more power you're using up to fly. So it pretty much just most of the time evens itself out. Confirm the HT01A is now being shipped out with a battery, and I was told it would be and have told others to expect it. I have not been informed of this, so I am not sure. What I would do is send us an email at service@hubsan.com or give us a PM via the chat on Facebook, and then we can go and make sure with R&D, production, and management. I don't want to give you guys false information. If I could help it, man. This is a fun Q&A. I'm glad you think it is. Sometimes, man, when you ask questions, you don't want to be bored to death when you're like learning. This isn't school. This is after school. Okay. Next question. How to get new firmware for the H109S? Email us at service@hubsan.com. Make sure you tell us where your compass is located. If you don't know how to do that, I would advise you go to the H109S owners group, or you can just email us and ask us how ask us in the firmware, and we'll tell you what to give us in terms of information. For all you know, you probably already have the latest edition. Okay, next question. Why does Hubsan not actually bring carbon propellers for their models? That I'm not sure. I just don't think there really is a need for carbon propellers. So, if I'm not mistaken, they're a little bit more expensive, and honestly, our propellers are made of pretty good material as it is already. You can tell the difference between a real one and a knockoff really easily. Material isn't very cheap. So I just don't think there was really a need. I can make it as a suggestion though. A moment. Oh, I can't find it now. Probably because it was retracted. Okay. Oh, no, it was not. Thank God. Okay, copy, paste. Is Hubsan working on a Mavic? My only advice is to go all the way to the beginning when I answered that question earlier from another person. You know, if you try once today and I can't say anything about it, you can only try next time. Sorry, can't release that information. When will the Hubsan application work with the SS model? The SS does not have a Wi-Fi module. Again, any aircraft that is solely 2.4 like the H501SS with no Wi-Fi compatible hardware will not work with the application. If you want an H501 that works with the application, buy an H501A. It's basically a 2.4 aircraft with Wi-Fi. So you can fly it like an H501SS or like an application drone. Next. What are your thoughts on tri-blades for the H501S? Tri-blades, really? Man, I've seen so many cases in which people use tri-blades and they just juiced out their batteries immediately. I really don't think they're needed. And personally speaking, I mean, if you want to mess with them, sure, but you're gonna use up all your power right away. So I don't think it's really really what it's cracked up to be, so to speak. Good morning. Any release for this year yet? Look up the H123D and the HT011A. And also feel free to keep on just, you can ask us about new product releases that aren't announced yet. But again, like, if you've asked it once in one session and we're not authorized to give the information just yet, you can only wait till next time, because it's not like they're awake right now and, to even give me any sort of authorization to begin with. The H123, the Hubsan H122D FPV goggles only buy with the standard controller on the H501S. Anything to getting the advanced controller to bind to? No, not yet right now. I've already submitted as a suggestion because I myself am like, well, if you're going to do it on the H901A, then why not the H906A? So I've already submitted that. Hopefully they'll take action on it. Technically speaking, you could use the goggles of the H906A. You're just not going to have telemetry, which I know most people are going to be really just not happy about. But, do our best to get that, through to them. Where do I find the 1.1.43 file for my H501A? For any sort of firmware that is on the latest release, please visit www.hubsan.com, support, followed by product support. For the most, if you can't find it on your specific page, go to the North American page and go to product support. You get to download it there. Okay, we're getting near to the end of our session. So I'm going to go ahead and try and answer as many on the last leg of this chat as possible. I will skip duplicate questions, the questions that I've already answered earlier on in this live stream. So if you think that I haven't answered your question, please watch the live stream recording and also the previous live stream recording on our channel. You will most likely find the answer to your question. If not, just email us. Okay. Why do they not have firmware improvements to the H109S? They do. They're just not as common or as oftenly released as the 501 series, because the 501 series is much more popular. But there are. If you really have a question about that, just email us at service@hubsan.com. Okay, got one little motor, some play when I push on it, nothing major. Should I be concerned? Only have a few hours to flight with it? Nah. I've flown so many of these guys. I can almost say I'd be sick of it if it weren't for the fact that they're really nice to fly. I mean, I'd only be concerned if you got a consistent drift in that direction. Like erratic consistent drift, like you're drunk from this. Even then, you're not really going to have a problem. You're just going to see that, oh, and be like, oh, possible bad motor. And then get the motor replaced. So, but it doesn't sound like you're having any of that issue, like that kind of issue, or else you would have stated it. So, no problems. Slight imperfection that a lot of people freak out about and then try to oil the motors, and they create worse problems. All right. Next. I think I've reached the end of the question line. Everything else is just like you guys chatting amongst each other. How do we get notified about the upcoming live shows? Follow us on Facebook, our official page at The handle is the @ symbol, Hubsan001. We also like to make the announcement on pretty much every single one of our groups, and although we worry that people start getting annoyed with the fact that we share to 15 different groups at the same time, at the same status, you know, it's better than people not getting the information. So yeah, pretty easy to tell if you're following us on Facebook. Sometimes we also periodically update the stuff on Instagram, but we don't have as much of a people aren't as accessible there as they are on Facebook or Twitter. So keep an eye on our Facebook and Twitter. All right. Last question I will go ahead and answer because this is important. Question: is the warranty voided if people add antennas to their controllers? Yes. Why? Because number one, the obvious, some people screw the modification up. And that's all I can say about the screwing up part. I could go into detail, but there are too many cases that I can remember. Number two, some people use antennas that are just not suitable for the hardware, and it burns the hardware out. So that's a double no-no. And in general, come on. You open up the drone, you replace several, or you open up the transmitter, even you replace several things. And of course, yes. No problem. I had a feeling, which is why I answered it. Good question. Good going. All right. So that's the end of our live stream today. Once again, I'd like to thank everyone for joining in. Very nice to see you guys. If you have any other questions that you don't think I've answered in this particular live stream, please visit our other 2 live streams first, and watch them, and perhaps you'll have your question answered there. If you don't, please communicate with the community, and then, or you can email us or post something on our forums. See you next time.